This is not a happy story. This is possibly a vaguely graphic story.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. You okay? I hope you make it. I hope you make it. So these hamsters were found in an Uber. And 10 days ago, and they were not brought into us until now. Everyone was excited and talking about the hamsters. I found out several hours later just what was going on and the fact that they are in such a bad state. 2 of the babies are already dead or eaten. One of the babies is barely surviving, and I don't know how else to keep them warm, but I just have it separated and trying to keep as warm as possible so they don't pick on it. Oh, good. Oh, you're so cold. I'm so sorry, honey. I know. I'm not going to show you the cage that they were in. It's very disgusting and bad. This is carrots and cucumbers from our leftover lunch. I got water in here for them, and we're just doing what we can. These 2 guys are lively. And they're desperately trying to cover their friend and keep it warm. It was so bad. Oh my god.
People can bring in lost items. This person brought that in to us. The lost items that were returned to the office were hamsters. I'm assuming it's from something that this same day, and that they're going to call the customer and get the hamsters where they need to go. Great. But then come a few hours later, I discovered that the hamsters were actually left on February 25th. So approximately 10-ish days ago. And then they said that they were feeding them carrots and potatoes. And I'm like, oh man, wow, that sucks. They should have brought them in straight away. 10 days? What? Like, they must have forgotten. That's the only logical thing that I can think of that could have happened, is that they forgot that they had the hamsters. They don't own hamsters, so they just forgot. And then I find out that they smell incredibly bad, are horribly filthy, and there's apparently blood on their face. So that's not good, and the story's just getting worse. I'm in a meeting, and the meeting has just ended, and we're starting to plan an event, when one of the office managers reaches out to me directly, and they're like, hey, somebody said that you may know what to do. We don't know what to do. We're trying to get in contact with animal control. We tried to get in contact with the police. Nobody's coming. Nobody's answering. Nobody's telling us what we need to do. We've looked up some centers, and they don't drop offs. And then I'm reading the part where they say the hamsters are in very poor condition, that there are 4 in there, and they believe the baby may be dead because it's no longer moving. At this point, I stopped everything that I was doing. I just closed my computer, walked out the door, because the person who was messaging me was actually kind of behind me, but like over there behind me kind of thing. And so I just marched over straight to them, and I was like, what is going on? What is being done? How far are we? Why can't we get in contact with them? I even tried to call my rescue center, which is cats and dogs only, but I was just going to put in the effort just to try. Because at the very least, maybe we could get some fluids into these hamsters, give them a warm, dry place, maybe get them a bath, something, anything. The conversation continues. I have no idea where they are, but eventually the office manager was like, do you want to see them? And I'm like, yes, right now. Anyway, he shows me they put these hamsters in the server room, which is a giant machine that makes a lot of noise. It's even kind of high pitched to me, so to animals, that's just straight up torture. And it's cold in this room because the server has to be cold. And I'm like, these are sick animals. Why are they in the cold? Basically, I just start going into rescue mode. Work doesn't matter anymore to me. I'm in full rescue mode right now. I like spin on the office manager and I'm like, I need a box. Give me a box right now. We need to get them out of this cage. The cage was so small. That wasn't even humane for one adult hamster to live in by itself. It was so small. This is like the size cage, the like starter cage you get when you first get a hamster from the pet store. Well, I'm looking in there and I see 3 adult hamsters. And they look filthy. They look bloody. They are probably covered in feces. But they're definitely, at the very least, sick. One was kind of approaching the cage to look at me, the only one that was seemingly active. I run over to the medical kit and I get gloves because I'm going to be moving them out of their cage and into the box. And then it's like dawning on me, like they said, whoa, wait, potatoes? They were feeding them potatoes? Raw potatoes are toxic to most animals. Like that might be part of why they're sick. One of the many reasons why they're sick, eating these raw potatoes. So that, and then I turn around and there's this like, again, everything is smelly, but there's another smelly garbage bag that I see back there. And they're like, yeah, they brought in the cage in a box, inside of another box, in a garbage bag. Okay. Right. I get the box. I open up the top. By now, 2 of my other coworkers have come into this back room. It's gotten quite a bit of attention now. So I open the crate. It's so sad. I again knew that the baby was in there and wasn't moving, but the baby has blood on its face. It looks lifeless. And I was just so upset. I was hoping that maybe the baby is just sleeping or super cold or something. And anyway, that. And so I'm just like, no. And the coworkers are like, oh God, you're gonna make me cry. What's happening? What's going on? You sound so upset. And I explain. Anyway, and then I'm like, okay. I need to do this. Anyway, so me, my gloved hands, I start scooping up the one hamster that's more active. The other hamster is catching on to or one of the like kind of a silvery hamster is catching on to the activity and is like, hey, what's up? And starts getting up and being more active. So that's a good sign. Being active is a good thing. So I scoop that one up and put it in the box, and they're like starting to scurry around. And then I go to get the 3rd adult, and its body language is very like crumpled in upon itself. It looks in pain. It looks super sick and it's lethargic, super lethargic. It doesn't want to respond. It is, because it's like, please don't touch me. Don't touch me. Stop. Please don't touch me. I don't feel good. But it doesn't want to respond like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Are we leaving? As I'm moving that one, the baby starts moving the tiniest amount. I'm just like, oh my God, it's alive. Oh my God. Okay. Scoop that one. And then I'm like, somebody get me paper towels right now. The baby looks wet, super wet. I don't know if it's blood. I don't know if it's just been peed on so many times. If the bowl has spilled. I think there was a water dish in there, but it was definitely flipped over. And I think that's why the rag they were sitting on was so wet. I get the paper towel and I wrap the baby in it. I don't know what else to do. I have nothing to keep this baby warm. The baby is freezing cold. And I watched enough kitten lady videos. This is bad. This is super, super bad. Anyway, so I just wrap it in the paper towel. I don't know what else to do, and I set the baby aside. I'm like, okay, I need the fresh bedding. We need water. we need food. So I haven't, like, I tell them, like, point at my coworkers, I'm like, go get water, go get the bowls, whatever. And so they come back with some bowls, and there actually was water already in front of me, so I poured the water into that. Or they weren't interested in drinking out of the bowl. Whatever, it was there. I tried. We had or one of the salads we had earlier in the day. One of my coworkers was like, "Oh, I can go grab the salad and pick out some of the food so they can eat it." And so she did that, and she picked out all the cucumbers and the shredded carrots, which is good because that helped them get some water if they decided to eat it. The two active ones immediately tried to eat up the food. Somebody had given them Honey Nut Cheerios at one point. Just, again, these were severely neglected. Do not feed your hamsters or rodents or whatever Honey Nut Cheerios. This is not good. Don't do that. But this was an emergency. We weren't eating the Cheerios in the cage because it was disgusting. They didn't want to eat anything. They didn't want to drink anything. It was so gross. I'm sure, like, the mere thought of it was just making them even more sick. And I don't blame them. As soon as they were out, they were so hungry. However, the lethargic one took a 2-second nibble on a carrot, and it was done. It was said no. And it kept going into the corners and bunching up in its tight little ball, and then deciding not to move again. Now I'm looking for bedding. Hamsters need heat. The hamsters need to hide. They burrow. Or somebody reminds me that we have a paper shredder, and so I was just like, oh yes! Run over, grab the container for the paper shredding. I just start, like, stuffing it in the box. I didn't have very much in that particular container. And then somebody was like, hey, I have some more papers that I need to shred. I can bring those straight to you. I come up with the idea that I need another box. I need to put the baby in the box to, like, kind of cover it up with as many of the paper shreddings as I can. Anything. Whatever. Just anything to keep it warm. And, like, more of my coworkers are coming in and out, and they're like, whoa, what's going on? Oh, I thought it was rats. And I'm like, oh, look, they're rats. And they're like, no, they're hamsters. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are idiots. They're hamsters. My boss's boss showed up. My boss's boss's boss showed up. And everyone's just kind of like, oh, you know, you gotta be careful. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, I know more than you. And you're right, I do not know what I'm doing. But I've got my gloves on, and I'm being as protective as I can of myself as well as them. These are lives on the line. I don't care. I'm here to help. Was not being the nicest to them, and I didn't care in that moment, and you know what? I'm not sorry. Somebody had to step up and take responsibility, and it was me. So now I'm looking desperately for a heat source. I try and raid the medical cabinet to see if there is a heat source, because sometimes we have heating pads. We're out. So I have no idea. I'm, like, trying to think of, like, can I warm up peanuts? Can I warm up oats? And I'm like, I think those all just burn, or you can't regulate the temperature, and, like, the heat just kind of, like, is scalding or something. And then I remember that I have a rice sock in my backpack. So I grab that, warm it up for like a minute in the microwave, and stuff it underneath the baby under the paper, just to kind of give a level of heat, but a level of, like, protection from maybe too much heat. I don't know. Is heat? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm doing what I can, and it's the only thing that I can do. And I'm the only one trying. And it's super frustrating, and I wish they had told me hours ago. Anyway, by this point, cops finally came, and they were going to take them to animal control or a vet or some. Anyway, they were going to take them. And of course they're like, I don't know, rodents, rats, can they get out? Are they going to eat the bugs? And I'm just like, this is your job. I don't care. So we decided to put the critically sick adult in the same box with the critical baby and tape it loosely, super loosely. Definitely have lots of air this time. I'm not playing that game again. And I write on the top in one box, I'm like, two male or adults active. And on one box, one baby, critical, rice sock, one adult, critical. And that was that. The cops took them, and out the door they went. So that's my story time for today.